The historical method. Yes, there is a method to history. Remember that Brightspace has a document containing this information and links in case you want to go back to get some of the information or click on a link. Let's start by talking about a couple of ideas about history. Did you know that historians are detectives? They look at evidence and clues. They listen to eyewitnesses. Historians try to determine what really happened. They may need to revisit their verdict later when new evidence is uncovered, and they use experience to predict what may happen in a new case. Sounds a little bit like your favorite crime show, I think. Historians are also time travelers. They ask not only what happened, but also what did it mean to those involved at the time? Why did those involved tell the story that they did? Who did they forget or exclude from the story? History is more than words. Most history happened before there were words, in fact. Words have been used to hide history very often. And actions speak louder than words in history as in real life. A picture or historical artifact or audio or video is worth 1,000 words. The historical method. How do modern historians research and write about the past? The goal is to produce a balanced story, not just the winning point of view, the point of view of those who have won at a particular moment in history. It's the same method you use when studying and writing about history. You are now an historian too. History research usually begins with a question. So this summer, for instance, in July, I was wondering, why did Canadians cooperate more in efforts to stop the spread of COVID-19? So if I were to use the historical method to investigate that, my first step would be to conduct some preliminary research. Not all my research for the whole project, but just a little preliminary research to get a feel for what others are saying, to learn some of the terminology. My second step is to make a working hypothesis, that is, an educated guess about the research question from this preliminary research that I've done. So what I came up with this summer was Canadians value collectivism more than individualism. That is, Canadians value what's good for the group more than what's good for the individual. So I looked at the historical method. Step 3, research evidence to support or reject my hypothesis. We need to be able to admit if we were wrong or our educated guess was incomplete. This is different than the preliminary research I did because now it's targeted. I've got a better direction in what I'm looking for. Step 4, after some more research, is to make or refine a thesis statement. That sort of means an argument statement. It is one statement to describe your position, one sentence even to describe your position on your question. So after I did some research, my thesis statement was, Canadians cooperated more than Americans with health authorities during COVID-19 for several reasons, including less cultural valuation of individualism, a social tradition of greater deference to authority, and more trust in media and government than in the United States. So you see, I've added to my original hypothesis when I've done some further research. Changed it slightly. So that's step 4. Now step 5 is to reconstruct history. That is, contribute to history by refining the ideas that you started with. And this is, you express your ideas. Now notice, I'm not saying write the essay. It could be an essay, but express your ideas, because the history project can be more than an essay. Express your ideas. You could write a traditional paper. You could prepare some presentation slides, such as PowerPoint, which you have free access to in Office 365, or another presentation format like Google Slides or Keynote. You could prepare an infographic. Brightspace, it has links to programs that help you make an infographic. You could prepare a detailed timeline or 2 timelines to contrast ideas. You can create an audio or video file to express your ideas. So a project in history doesn't have to be an essay. It can be, but your creativity is the limit. You can negotiate an expression of your ideas with me. So here's the historical method on one page. This is taken from a text called Viewpoints, which many years ago was our text for this course. Step 1, conduct preliminary research. Step 2, make a working hypothesis, your educated guess based on your research. Step 3, research for evidence to support or reject the hypothesis, considering authenticity, competence, and credibility. We'll talk about these ideas in the next video. You can use the CRAP test or check for fake news. CRAP test is a test I'll be showing you. It's one way to check if a source is authentic, competent, and credible. I like the name of it. And step 4, make a thesis statement. Step 5, reconstruct history, express your ideas. And that comes from the authors of the Viewpoints book. So here are the steps again. Note the words you need to look up to better understand them. The historical method can change the way we look at the world, and it should. Next video is doing history. We'll develop some of the ideas in a little more detail.